Hi everybody, this is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. I wanted to share with you a little project that I worked on yesterday. Finished it yesterday. It's a done deal, but it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's a freestanding clothesline. I've wanted a clothesline since I moved into this property, and I haven't put one in yet. I just didn't really, I don't know why. I was real averse to digging a 2-foot hole and cementing in posts. I know that's probably the easiest way to do it, but I just kind of wanted something that wasn't quite such a permanent fixture in my yard. So I designed this. I came up with this. I'm extremely happy with it. I hung 2 loads of clothes out on these wires today, and everything did wonderful. It's the right height. Everything did wonderful. And I wanted to share it with you all because when I was researching this, I was Googling things like freestanding clotheslines, and nothing comes up, really. Nothing comes up. They have systems that'll hook onto the side of your house, and you can kind of collapse them and fold them up and down as you need it. And then of course they had tons of things in ground, but nothing like this, so I thought I would share it with you. I'm going to just tell you my product list and how I built it, and you can do this too if you want to. I want to point out that I chose to put cinder blocks built into this. In other words, I built the frame with the cinder blocks to the inside because I wanted to not have a unit that sat on the ground. I didn't want it to sit on the ground. If you have concrete space or like a porch you wanted to put something on, you could just build the base as it is and leave off the cinder blocks. I know it makes it look a little more clunky to have the cinder blocks, but I wanted my boards to be up off the wet ground. That's just what I wanted to do since it's out here in my backyard. So that's an added expense that you don't have to do if you don't want to. But here's what I did. Looking at the base down here, the side pieces are 4x4s. And I got 2 4x4x8s. I got 2 of them. And I split each one in half. It's basically 2 4-foot long pieces is what you get out of one 4x4x8, but wood is usually always a little bit longer than that. Just whatever they are, split it in half. So one 4x4 gives you the 2 posts that are the base of this system. Your second 4x4, of course, is that. So number 1 on your product list that you would need to buy your supplies for is 2 4x4x8s. The only other boards I used were just regular 2x4s, and I got all of my lumber treated. I got it treated because it is outside and everything, and I do want it to last as long as possible. For this project, it took 8 2x4x8s. 8 2x4x8s. You need 1 for this riser, 1 for that riser, and of course you've got those 2 risers on the other end, and 1 piece across the top. Now, each of these risers, as well as the piece across the top, is basically 5 foot long. I say basically because my 2x4x8s measured, once I cut off the 3-foot parts, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, once I cut off the 3-foot parts, I had 61 inches left over. On one of my boards, maybe 2 of the boards, I had like 60 and 7/8 left over. So what I did is I just shaved all of my boards to where they were 60 and 7/8. So when I say it's roughly 5 feet, that's what I'm talking about. You could cut these exactly 5 feet each if you wanted to, but there's really no point in it when you can almost get a little bit more inch out of that if you just kind of see what your boards measure out at and then just even out all of your boards. It's not really important for them to be exactly 5 foot. They can be 5 foot and 7/8 of an inch. It's okay as long as they're even on both sides. From those 2x4s, I cut off 3-foot pieces. I have 1 there, 1 there, 1 in the middle, and then I have 1 on each end. I did want those end pieces to be included. You don't have to, but I wanted them included so that if just by some reason we were to bump this with the lawnmower, or we were to bump it with our golf cart or something like that, everything doesn't just kind of go askew. It'll kind of stay all stable and move as one unit. I kind of wanted it to be as squared off as possible. I used these 3-foot pieces. The end ones were just what I was telling you about. This middle bottom one is on here to serve as a base for these 2 posts, these 2 side posts, but it also gives me another little area to screw in screws there to hold the post, to give it a little more stability. I screwed 3 screws from the 2x4 into the 4x4, and then these 2 at the top are screwed into the other side of the 2x4 that goes across. That 2x4, these 2 holes go into that. And so that gives you 5 screws that are really keeping this board straight up and taut and everything. This middle board is the same way. They're exactly 36 inches. All of these 3-foot ones are exactly 36 inches. I screwed through the end on those. And then I just thought it looked better to have a little bit more of a finished out top, I guess you would say. You could just top it with that top board, that 5-foot board, 5 foot, whatever it comes out to be, is what I was telling you a while ago. But I liked the idea of putting this other 3-foot piece in here to give it more stability, because I obviously screwed this board straight down into here, but then I screwed it into this board. And then I screwed a few screws from up underneath just to make it really solid. So the first thing you would need is 2 4x4x8s. Then you would need 8 2x4x8s. And then I used 8 of these little eye hook screws. I think these were 1.5 inches long, something like that. They screw into the board about that much. You just pre-drill a little hole that's smaller than your threads on your screw, and then you screw it in and tighten it. I just went with that, and I went with 4. I wanted to show you how I strung mine. From the end of this board here, I just went over 4 inches for my first row. I didn't want my string too far in, because then I might be hitting my head or something on these little posts that stick out. I wanted to go ahead and have my string kind of close to the end, so that when my clothes are hanging and all, I'm working kind of without kind of getting where I would hit my head on that or something. So I came in 4 inches, and then I came in 21 inches here. I did the same thing on the other side, 4 and 21. Now it kind of made a little bit of a wider, that's probably about 24 inches here, and that's okay with me. I really didn't want to put a 5th row in. I wanted 2 that were easily accessible when I'm walking on this side of the clothesline. I wanted 2 easily accessible on this side of the clothesline. I didn't really want a 5th row here. I'm gonna give you 2 reasons. Number 1, because I didn't really want to be stretching that far into this to worry about hanging up clothes, you know, and I'm kind of tall, so I would be hitting my head on all this and everything. So I wanted rows that were easily accessible for me without hitting my head and stuff on this side and this side. And another reason is because the 4th item that you need for this project is this rope right here. This, well, it's called clothesline cord. It's basically just plastic clothesline cord, they call it. That's what it's called at the hardware store. I got this at Ace Hardware. It's called clothesline cord. And it's really just a plastic tube that's hollow in the middle, but they come in either 50 feet or 100 feet. So I got a 100-foot bolt. If I had added a 5th row of wiring on here, I don't know that it would have been enough. It might have been, but barely. I have this kind of looped around at the end just to kind of tie it off. I kind of stuck it up in here in different places to where it can't unroll or anything, to kind of keep the extra. I didn't want to cut it. I thought to myself, I'm not gonna buy this 100-foot thing and then try to cut it, because I may need more one day for some reason. So I have a little bit extra here, and then I have a little bit extra rolled around on that end. But I don't think I would have had enough to make a complete 5th row. I would count on 4 rows, but all of that also depends on how close you make your bases together. And I stepped mine off yesterday, and from the middle of this pole right here, which is where my wire starts, to the middle of that pole over there is 18 feet. So it's not quite 20 feet, it's 18 feet. If I had had it 20 feet and did 5 rows. That wouldn't have worked because I wouldn't have had anything left to kind of loop between these hooks to go to from one row to the next. So 4 rows for 18 feet apart worked perfect for me. So to recap the product list, 2 4x4x8s, 8 2x4x8s. You're going to need 8 of the little eye hooks, the little silver eye hooks that you screw into the post right there. And then I needed a 100-foot little roll of the clothesline plastic cording that they sell at the hardware store. I'm sure you can get it anywhere. I did get it at Ace Hardware. I'm not counting, when I'm speaking to you all, I'm not mentioning that I bought screws because I already had my screws, but I will tell you that for every little joint up in here, every joint, I needed 9x3 screws. I like the Star Drive screws. I usually buy them in 5-pound boxes so that I always have extra around my house. And the 9x3 worked for every part of this. I didn't need anything smaller or anything larger. And then I also, as I mentioned, I invested in getting 8 of the cinder blocks. I don't think they were very expensive, maybe $3 or $4 each, but it keeps it up off the ground. I chose to put this out here in this part of my backyard because I don't have grass that grows back here very much, just little scrubby little grass every now and then. That way I don't have to worry about this getting weeds all over it and grass everywhere. And also this is a sunny part of my yard, and I like the fact that my kitchen window is right there, my sink is right there, and I can look out here and make sure everything's okay with our clothes and our clothesline and make sure nothing's blown down or anything while I'm doing dishes and stuff. So that helps me a lot. I hope you enjoyed this. I thought maybe this would be an idea that would come in handy for somebody if you aren't capable maybe of digging a big hole and dealing with concrete bags. They're very heavy. I have to do these kind of things by myself, so I didn't really want to deal with that. Also, I wanted it to be flexible. If I decide that we're going to do something out here and I want this clothesline gone, I didn't want to have to just start over somewhere else or dig up, a post out of the ground. I wanted something that I could just move if I wanted to. I could really move this with a dolly if I needed to. Take the cording down, take the clothesline down, and move them with a dolly. Or I could just unscrew them and use the boards for something else should I find that I'm just not using a clothesline. Maybe you think you will and you just don't ever do it, and then you don't want that clothesline as an eyesore for years to come. So I could take this down and dismantle it if I wanted to. I also thought it might be a good idea to give this design to you if you are a renter and you can't put something permanently in a yard or affix something to the side of the house or anything like a metal clothesline unit. So I thought this might be a good idea for people to have. As I said, I tried to Google ideas for freestanding clotheslines and there's nothing out there. So I figured it out and I built one for myself. I've enjoyed it. I've had 2 loads going today, and I've just being out here and hearing the birds and being in the sunlight. This is a sunny part of my yard. It stays sunny all day long. And being out here today and doing that was so peaceful and just brought me so much peace and joy and a sense of accomplishment that I got it done. I hope you enjoy it too. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.